All right, the recording has started, and let me share my screen as well. I don't think I'm doing that. And let's pick the right browser. Can you see the agenda doc on your screen now?
Sure
Yes.
can.
Alrighty, so this is the January 29th, 2019 Rook Community Meeting. And we'll go ahead and start off by taking a look at the various milestones. We just released a 0.9.2 patch release. So a lot of the issues that we had pending that we wanted to get out into the hands of our users are now available for them with that 0.9.2 release. So taking a look at the 0.9 project board, we have much less going on there than we did since we got that other release out last week. I haven't heard any progress recently on the Cassandra issue there, 2443, because there was um, a migration issue there that we wanted to try to support and not break existing users. And I have not seen an update on that one, so I can't report anything on that. Travis, do you have any updates or things to report for the two issues that are in the to-do column?
Not really. Someone was going to look at the DM crypt support. That was a couple weeks ago, but I haven't heard back if they're able to do that now. And that was...
Is that important for backporting and having in 0.9?
No, not necessarily at this point. It was, I'd say it was a nice to have because it's pretty much implemented, but the flag, basically we just have to enable a flag to get it to work, but it wasn't working for me in my testing.
So it could have like a long tail there of trying to get to quality.
Yeah, if there's some fundamental issue, yeah. So probably at this point, I'd say we take it out of 0.9.
Yeah, it feels like it missed that train and just can be included in 1.0, which is in a couple months or less.
Right.
All right, I'll go ahead and update that.
There's some other issues that aren't in this board that...
Could it be that I was the reviewer on the Cassandra issue?
Say that again, Alex. I'm sorry, I didn't understand you.
Could it be that I'm the reviewer on the Cassandra issue you're mentioning?
No, I think that you did review it, and you brought up the backwards compatibility issue, and I did not see an update from Yanis on.
I think he updated. I think he updated, but I didn't take another look. I think. Could you open it?
Yeah, I will. Just one
I'm
second.
currently, as always, Jared. I'm again traveling to my hotel right now.
Are you walking the mean streets of some city right now?
Well, not the main street, but I'll be traveling in a subway in a second. So, but I'll try to be as calm as possible.
Not cause a scene.
Yeah.
All right, I am loading. So do you have you can see the shared screen right now?
Yeah, I'll see it just a second.
Okay.
No, it was you.
It was me asking for an update on it. Yeah, exactly. So I think that we can't move forward with that still. And Yanis, I know he's in the middle of his wrapping up his thesis right now. So I think he's a little delayed, or he's a little tied up with other priorities right now. But I'm okay with continuing to we'll wait for Yanis to be able to take.
Jared,
take this. Yeah.
Could you send me the link to the issue on Slack? I'll just take another
look. Pull request?
The pull request.
Got it.
If you could just send it to me, that I'll check to make sure that I'm not the blocker right now, because I think he pinged me one time on Slack, and I'm not sure if I took another look then.
I'm sending it to you right now, buddy.
Thanks, man.
And all right.
Oh, I was also going to say there's a couple other issues I want to consider getting into 0.9, but they're not on the board yet.
Are they tagged or anything? Or
they're not tagged yet.
Okay.
We need to do that, but they're around what happens when a node is cordoned.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing an issue about that recently.
Yeah, because there's you cordon a node, and then the mon failover the old mon isn't getting cleaned up properly. The OSDs aren't doing what is expected. The operator was getting stuck. We don't have good testing around that scenario.
How complicated of I mean, is that like a lot of orchestration effort that needs to be done, or are there some simple, streamlined things?
Uh, there's one main problem there, especially for, well, the simple case here that is, I think, sometimes, which is kind of another problem, is if the operator is on the same node as the monitor, the monitor will begin doing the failover in some cases, and then, well, in the middle be terminated because of the mon pods being stopped. So, but as far as I understand the issue there, it's kind of into the same direction that there, for some reason, a new monitor isn't coming up. As it shows, because it's saying like, yeah, here I'm waiting for the new mon pod to come up, but it's not coming up there. So,
no, but the issue I was looking at is that the new mon does come up, but the old mon doesn't get taken out of quorum. The operator waits forever or a long time for it to go away. I tried the mon failover locally just in Minikube where I delete the deployment for a mon, and the new mon came up, but then the old one looks like an incorrect check for how many mons are running, and we wait and it times out, and then at the next health check, 45 seconds later, then it cleaned up the mon. But if the operators restarted in the middle of that, because the operator pod was evicted, then it might cause a more permanent problem where the mon isn't removed. But I don't know, it needs investigation for sure.
My concern at this point is that the complexity of it might be a bit much for trying to, backport into a previous release, where the quality, is already pretty well vetted and things are stable. So I don't have a, complete or final assessment on that, but that's my initial gut reaction, is that, to be wary of the complexity into a stable release.
Right, for sure. And before I jumped into putting those issues into 0.9, I wanted to investigate it.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Understood. Sounds good. Were there other issues that you were thinking about for 0.9?
No, it was really, are we behaving well with a cordon node situation?
Whenever I see cordon, I always think of like a cordon bleu sandwich. Immediately, I'm like, oh, I've never heard that word anywhere else until Kubernetes.
Right. Yep. So,
Jared, have you ever heard of cordon bleu? The schnitzel variant, or it's not schnitzel variant, but have you ever heard about cordon bleu?
Yeah, it's a French dish, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't you Germans take credit for that?
Yeah. Well,
you have delicious food in Germany as well, though. I'm not taking that away.
No.
All right. So 0.9. So that kind of covers, I think, all of that stuff. So let's go ahead and move on to 1.0. So I believe since the last community meeting, let me check the action items. Yeah, I think it was since the last community meeting, we, the roadmap was updated, the milestone was updated, the project board was updated. So instead of looking at an empty milestone this time, we actually have everything fully captured, I believe, in a plan for 1.0. Has issues opened and put into the right milestone and project and everything.
Well, and actually that PR for the roadmap hasn't merged yet. So it
hasn't merged?
Yeah, I need to finish that off. And yes, we need to merge that. There's no reason not to have merged what we have.
Yeah. So and then all the issues that we had discussed with all the different storage providers, those have been opened, captured, and put into the milestone, though, right?
Yeah. I just have a couple final updates to the PR. I think I still need to add Cassandra's with Yanni's, or maybe I did push that. So there was something else. I'll just double check to make sure it's up to date. And
cool.
I didn't have much on what's after 1.0. So I was wanting to think about that a touch more, but we should at least merge what we have, really.
Yeah, that sounds good. Let's finish off that pull request, and then yeah, I think we have everything on the project board. We might have more on the project board than we do on the milestone. Yeah, we have things that are in the project board, but not in the milestone. So that's
So we should check that.
yeah. Okay. So I guess what we did get fully updated was the project itself. Then okay. So that seems like a follow up that we need to do. Let me capture that. And you all can't see this right now, but there's a cat in front of my monitor that I can't see where I'm typing. Okay, so now we can start typing again. All right, so follow up on including all 1.0 issues in the milestone and the roadmap PR updated or merged. Okay, cool. Thank you for the clarification, Travis. Are there any comments that anybody else wants to make on 1.0?
No,
I
I think
haven't taken a
that's
look yet myself, but I need to do that today.
yeah, and I feel like there's been a bunch of focus on 4.9 still to make sure that's stable. So my comment, I guess, is 1.0 progress isn't what I would hope it would be at this point.
Right, with a little bit of focus on stabilization in 0.9.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole lot of activity though in the repo. Lots of issues, lots of discussion, lots of pull requests. So
Yeah,
we're not hurting for activity.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to the community topics and questions. So something I added here is that February 8th is the due date for submitting proposals for KubeCon EU on the maintainer track. And so, we, as always, we get an intro talk and a deep dive talk. And I think the intro, we don't need to change anything. That content is up to date. We just delivered it last month in Seattle. And as an introduction to the project, I think that content is solid. But the deep dive, we've consistently kind of switched around a bit and took a bit of a different focus for each time we've delivered a deep dive. And so I wanted to solicit feedback from this forum here if anybody had specific ideas that they wanted to see us go into in the deep dive. Because when I submit the proposals, it needs to include a kind of a description of what's going to be included in the deep dive.
Mm-hmm. I think it partially at least depends on what other talks are accepted as well, because if it'd be nice to hear from Edge of Fest on what's that operator all about in Rook, because it's just been added recently. But I think they have a talk submitted as well separately, so we wouldn't need both of those in that case.
But I think that we will not hear about the final collection of talks that are accepted before the maintainer track deadline is due.
Exactly.
One quick topic from my side there, as a potential for like the deep dive talk would be further look into just a second. Further look into second day operations of Rook staff and possibly the other operators as well.
I see. Focus on day 2 operations.
How to manage your storage after it's up and running. Yeah, because a lot of the talks have been about getting it up and running.
And Alex, is that content that you would want to potentially, what's the word I'm looking for? Present? It's not even a difficult word. Sorry. Alex just used chat, so he might have lost audio or gone into the subway or something. He said it's very loud on the subway. So Alex, let me know if that's something you want to present, because when I submit, I need to also have names on them. I am more than happy. I think as a strategy, we want to have the maintainer team, at least the names attached to these, so we can have representation and and registration for the conference that way. And so we can put names on them, but having an idea of who actually wants to present the content is good to know, especially if it's a new topic. And I am always more than happy to present and speak on Rook. The intro, especially the intro talk, I've given that one like 5 or 6 times now, I think. So I can continue doing that, or somebody else can take have a chance at that if they want to. It should be pretty easy because all the content is already created. So you don't have to even really make a presentation or anything, but I'm more than happy to do it. I like speaking. And Alex said sure in the chat, so it sounds like he'd be interested in doing that. And we'll also have to talk to about if that's a full 35 minutes or that's just like a half of it. And we can talk about another topic in the deep dive as well, kind of do a split thing. But that's a good focus, at least, because we haven't presented on that before. So that sounds like good new material that would be pretty interesting.
And potentially having team speakers, I think, for this, because we can have up to 2.
Yeah, exactly. 2 names on each is a great way to do it. And there's 4 of the 4 maintainer team. That makes perfect sense too.
Okay.
Cool. All right, and then I wanted to also report on Rook CI integration with CNCF. I think it was last week. The CI working group for the CNCF had a meeting after not having one in December, so it had been a couple months, and they presented on their plans for the V2 CNCF.CI is what they're calling it. And so the integration story for that for Rook, what we had hoped for was that we would be able to kind of transfer off the day-to-day hosting and running of our CI to the CNCF. That was kind of the original intent, but that is pretty clear that's not the business that they want to be in. They want each of the individual projects to be hosting their own CI and doing the integration steps to get the data and the results and such into the CNCF CI dashboard. So in the V2 version of that effort there that the working group is doing, the March timeframe is when they say they'll be ready to have documentation and guidance on how projects can perform an integration, how new projects can be added to the CI dashboard and CI experience there. So we will re-engage with them in March to figure out what the steps are there and what we want to do there. But so the big takeaway here is that hosting the CI will continue to be the responsibility of the Rook project. Now, thankfully, we have a wonderful new experienced member of the team, Chris Maher, that will have some time to be working on Rook CI stuff and has already taken steps to fix bugs and improve the quality and reliability of our CI process in Jenkins and everything. Chris, do you have any comments that you want to share about that effort right now?
Yeah, so I mean, right now, I'm still trying to get the lay of the land and everything, but kind of a few big takeaways is obviously we had that bug last week where we were running into a timeout issue with the GCE step of integration testing, which unfortunately would bomb about an hour plus into the run. So a temp fix for that was to just up the time needed for updates to run on there, but the image is really out of date. So one of the takeaways here is today I'm going to create a new image and then put that into production for us to use, which will speed things up. But as I mentioned earlier, part of the sprint that I'm working on right now is to actually create an automated process that will once a month create new templates, not only for GCE, but also AWS and Azure, should we want to add that in there. So we'll have no more than a month-old image during these runs because it's just wasted time to have updates going on during that run. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at now. I'm going to also be going through actually all the steps, see if there's things that we can kind of clean up that might be a little bit brittle or kind of fragile. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now.
Awesome. And I know Travis will personally probably send you a fruit basket or some other present to thank you for making his life better.
Totally. Yeah. What do you like?
All right, so that is an update about CI integration with the CNCF and how we'll make some improvements within the Rook hosted Jenkins solution. And now I see another item here for dynamic bucket provisioning I think it must have just got added.
Yeah, I just barely added it there since I see John's on the call. I haven't looked at that PR for a few days, honestly. So, John, if you're here, if you want to give an update on that.
Yeah, Travis, thank you for dropping out on the agenda there. So we've gone, there's one more iteration I need to make on the design doc to add in handling for tenant and region specification. Had a little bit of back and forth with Dimitri on that. I agree with his point of view that we need to handle that. I will have that up probably by the end of today, and we would really like to get a lot more eyes on this, and hopefully if we could get it in by the end of next week, if y'all feel like it fits the bill.
So yeah, thank you for all the work that you're doing on that, John, and also I think is Jeff the other one working on it as well?
Yes, Jeff. He's in Raleigh right now, so he's out for a few days.
Cool. Yeah, so we had Bassam and I had wanted to have a little bit of discussion about that to kind of make the iteration loops quicker to a higher bandwidth discussion instead of some of the PR comments. And we had asked get some time on your all's calendars, and Aaron Boyd had mentioned that you all will get back to us about scheduling something when the design is more fully fleshed out. Do you have an idea of when that would possibly be, when we'd be able to sit down and have a little more discussion?
Yeah, I'd love to be able to do it either maybe say tomorrow or the following day. We've been distracted, but we got pulled off of the design to help some folks get Ceph integrated with OCP and just do some test runs on that. So our focus has been shifted a little bit. We are moving back onto the design today and then probably for the rest of the week. So yeah, tomorrow or the following day probably a really good time. I think. I'll get with it and then we'll figure it out. I know she's got tons of meetings. I have very few, so.
Yeah, same with Bassam and me. That's the same sort of relationship.
Okay, yeah, I just keep my head down.
Yeah. So if you can follow up on your side with Aaron and Jeff to get like some time scheduled, I would really appreciate that. Then, John.
Yeah, we'll do. Well, we'll
awesome.
let you know.
Thank you very much. Cool. All right. Blaine. Oh, Blaine's not here.
Yeah, he said he wasn't going to be able to make it, so he asked me to represent this item.
Do you want to drive this one here, Travis?
Yep. So the main thing is here, not that we necessarily need to discuss it, but it's a pretty big change as far as that Blaine's made. I just reviewed it yesterday, and really what the overall goal here is to simplify how we're starting up the Ceph daemons, and the config is generated in a different way, so we don't have to have an init container that generates the ceph.conf before we start the container for Ceph.
Where would the config be generated from, or whose responsibility would that be?
Right. So if you're running in the Illuminous container, we would still actually write the ceph.conf to disk. But then if you're on Mimic or newer, those settings can get written to the Mimic settings store, and we wouldn't need the ceph.conf anymore. Basically.
Got it. Where is in Mimic? Where is the settings store persisted? Is that something that's a responsibility of the monitors themselves, or like the manager, or who does that?
Yeah, it's in the mons. Just basically a key value store with the mons.
Is that similar to the already existing, like there's been for a long time, there's been like a config key value store that you can use. There's an API for it that you can use with the monitors. Is it the same store, but now it's going to be used and to actually be more of a platform for configuration throughout all the daemons? Or is it a totally different new store?
Yeah, and pretty much, all settings are expected to be in there or can be in there instead of just some of them being handled there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think a good way to say it is that it's just been expanded to include all settings.
That makes sense. Okay, cool. And in Blaine's PR here, it's already a full stab at the implementation of consuming that?
So it's not the complete implementation. It'll be a couple of different, 2 or 3 different PRs probably. Like this first one, it just keeps the ceph.conf, but gets rid of the init container for the mon daemons. And it doesn't do anything special for Mimic yet either. That'll be a separate PR to do something different for Mimic.
Got it.
But I could use some more eyes though, for Jared or Alex if you're available to take a stab at it.
Cool. Are there other pull requests open that we need some more eyes on? I know that there's a lot of active pull requests, but are there any that we know of that are kind of waiting?
Yeah. So I guess I could have added it to this list as well. The Waman just opened a PR yesterday for the CSI integration, kind of an initial stab at that. I haven't looked at it yet, so I'm not sure. And he still marked it as work in progress.
Okay.
So, but he asked me to take an initial look at it. I'm not sure others need to yet, but feel free to, of course. So we can have the right approach there.
I think it would be good if all of us, Travis, Jared, and I, are going through the list of the pull requests from sorted by creation date to see if we do well for some PLs. Just need to ping someone to get it. Amount of files still open, so it would be good to get them closed or merged.
Yeah, because we've got around 40 PRs. Some of them, the authors haven't responded recently. Some of them, just at different stages. So it'd be nice to clean that up for sure.
And so, we have the stale bot for issues, but we still do not have that enabled for PRs, correct?
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I still don't think we're at that point.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate as well. Yeah. Cool. All right. There's something else I wanted to bring up. What was it? Shoot. I don't think it was too important though. Okay, so we'll follow up on those, looking at those pull requests, especially some of the older ones, and we will also follow up on getting all of the 1.0 issues included into the milestone and have that fully fleshed out along with the roadmap updates that Travis had gathered together. Mm-hmm. Cool. Are there any other topics that anybody wanted to discuss today?
Just as a side note, it'll be good to have the discussion later this week with Bassam. We're on the calendar.
That's what it was. That's what I wanted to talk about. Thank you, Travis. Well done. Yeah, it's on Thursday. We have a discussion for amongst the maintainer team to follow up on a lot of issues there. And Alexander, did you get that on your calendar as well on Thursday to discuss like governance and channel usage?
I don't think so. I have to or something for this week, or if it's this week.
Yeah.
Sounds like you don't think you did. So I'll follow up on trying to send that to you so that it's available for you on your calendar, Alex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're available, it'd be great. It's, I think, 2 p.m. my time on Thursday. So is that around 9 p.m. in Germany? Anyway. Yep.
All right, I'll do that right now. Okay, cool. So that's everything that for today then. So I think we can adjourn a little early this week then.
Mm-hmm. All right.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
See you later.